Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. If we could please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everybody. Today is Thursday, March 18th, 2021, and this is the Town of Riverhead Planning Board work session. The first item is a discussion item. We have to go out of order a little bit on the agenda, so the first item is going to be Peconic Farms, which is listed as number 4 on the agenda. So Peconic Farms, major subdivision. Okay, Greg.
All right, thank you. I believe here for the applicants, we have Mr. Martin Finnegan. I believe he's the attorney, and I'm not sure if Doug Adams is here for the engineer, maybe Tom Wolpert as well.
Yes, they're here.
All right,
They're here.
excellent. So we've got a follow-up discussion on a yield map submitted in furtherance of a major subdivision application seeking to identify the yield of a vacant 9.57 acre parcel of land located on Peconic Bay Boulevard. The parcel is located within the RA 40 zoning use district and is currently enrolled in a Suffolk County Agricultural District number 7. The applicant has submitted a revised yield map prepared and stamped by Howard W. Young, land surveyor, and Thomas C. Wolpert, professional engineer, last dated January 25th, 2021. The aforementioned yield map submitted by the applicant identifies a potential development of 9 lots, with lots ranging in size from 40,067 square feet through 40,897 square feet, with an average lot size of 40,505 square feet. The map currently identifies a 55-foot wide right-of-way, as well as a 14,585 square foot drainage area. All residential lots shown on the yield map comply with the minimum 40,000 square foot lot size, as well as the minimum 150-foot lot width and other required dimensions as detailed in the RA 40 zoning use district's dimensional regulations. We did receive comments from the town's consulting engineer. In summary, he said that the yield map substantially conforms to subdivision standards of the town code. However, prior to deeming the yield map to be complete and acceptable, the applicant's design professional should demonstrate that the proposed size of the drainage area would be adequate to contain stormwater runoff and to construct a recharge basin in accordance with the road and drainage standards. He did note that the proposed drainage area is located within a portion of the site where the existing grade ranges between 3 feet and 4.3 feet above sea level, and in an area where groundwater has been measured to be between 3 feet below grade. The subdivision standards require that the bottom of a recharge basin be no lower than 2 feet above groundwater. With that said, the proposed depth of the recharge area would be very limited, resulting in the need to provide shallower recharge areas to contain stormwater. At this time, prior to recommending approval of the map, he recommended that drainage design calculations be provided that would quantify the required volume of stormwater that would need to be contained within the proposed drainage area. Preliminary design calculations for the proposed volume, capacity of the recharge basin should also be provided, and the capacity calculations for the recharge area should be based on the design standards for a recharge basin as stipulated in Section A5 of the subdivision road and drainage standards. Basically, we're here at the yield map because the yield map is going to determine the ultimate build-out of the property going forward. And as we've seen with similar subdivision applications, drainage is one of the first and foremost things that we need to address when we get to yield. We've got Vinny here and we've got the applicant's design professionals, if any of them would like to comment or provide feedback.
Yes, Craig, did you have the map where the yield map which shows a drainage area?
Yes, it shows 14,000,
Yeah,
I believe,
right.
14,585 square foot.
Okay, you've seen that.
Yes. I believe the question is ultimately whether, based on the depth of groundwater,
Yeah.
a recharge area of that size would be appropriate in order to handle the runoff.
So one of the questions I have is, it says that where the drainage area is proposed here, it's between elevation 3 and 4.3, right?
Correct.
And then it says the groundwater is between 0 and 1.
Yes, 0 and 0. Yes, it was 3 feet below grade. I misspoke. I apologize. So it is very shallow depth to groundwater.
Okay. All right,
And again, the location of the map, when we're just looking at a yield map phase, understanding that the map could change, they could cluster down, we could try to preserve some of the existing vegetation. But when we approve a yield map, that's the as of right. We're not going to really consider that, oh, we'll reduce the tributary areas going forward. We have to, the applicant's got to demonstrate that, the as of right yield map would accept and, be compliant with the stormwater regulations.
so that has to be done before and a yield map is approved.
Correct. And
Was
I
Vinny,
have,
you said Vinny's on?
yes, sir.
Vinny, do you want to speak about this?
Muted.
That's not Vinny. That's not Vinny. Oh. Are you there, Vinny? Yeah, we can't hear you, Vinny, if you,
Can you hear me?
yep, now we can.
Okay. Stan, what I wanted to do is just kind of give a little bit of a general summary of my comments. Typically when we see a yield map, we see a layout, and with respect to the engineering comments, the plan is not engineered. The plan is not even preliminarily engineered. But in essence, what the plan demonstrates is that based upon the conditions of the site, the topography of the site, depth to groundwater, that it is apparent, or clearly apparent, that the roadway and drainage area could be designed in a manner that would meet the standards of the code. And when we use the term standards of the code, we mean the specific design standards that are shown in the road and drainage standards and in the zoning code. And when you're looking at, a 50-acre piece of property that, groundwater is 50 feet down, and you're proposing an 1.5 acre or 2 acre area for a recharge basin, and the topography is relatively slight to moderate, there's not much question as far as whether that can be designed to meet the standards. In this instance, what we have is an area or a drainage area where the bottom of the recharge area would be a foot below what existing grade is. And I think before the board acts on this, some type of design calculations need to be provided that would demonstrate, hey, we could put a standard recharge basin here, even if it's a foot deep or 2 feet deep, that would have the capacity to handle stormwater. The standard yield map is not the map that is used to come up with some type of special type of drainage system or facility that in essence could meet the code requirements with respect to capacity. This is the map that basically says you need to use this, that, and this to contain drainage. Now, we looked at this map previously where they were proposing recharge structures, catch basins and leaching pools within the road right-of-way. And I commented on that, and to be very honest with you, I kind of had an issue with that as well, is because in order to do that, you were raising grade in the roadway as much as 5 feet. And if you're raising grade 5 feet, these lots, in the vicinity of the southeasterly portion of the property would be about 5 or 6 feet below the grade of the road. So with respect to this yield map, I think that the applicant at this point, especially with this map, you could get some preliminary calculations that say, yes, we could handle the runoff that would come to that area. The area I think I estimated to be somewhere around 3.5 acres. They'd use a weighted coefficient as they normally would, and just come up with a volume of containment and then show us how that, in a very, basic calculation and sketch perhaps how that drainage area would be adequate to provide that volume. The volume would need to be based on a 5-inch storm event, and I believe that's what we would be looking for at this point.
Yeah, Vinny, this is Doug Adams. We completely agree with you. We're gonna get back to the drawing.
Doug, you broke up. Can you try that again?
I'm sorry, hold on. Make sure everyone's on. You can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're in, I understand Vinny's comments completely, and we plan to address them, verbatim, for what he's looking for.
Okay. All right, so I guess we'll get a resubmission on this?
Yeah, we just couldn't get it done for today. That's basically the story.
Okay, great.
Would we be able to be on the, just put this over to the next agenda though, so we can keep things moving forward?
As long as we get it, you know, as long as we get it, you know, in a reasonable amount of time, and we can't get it the day before, but if you get it to us a couple of days before, or, you know, we should be able to get you on at the next meeting.
Yeah, I don't see that being an issue.
And what's the date of your next meeting?
April 1st.
April 1st, okay. All right, well, that's up to Tom and Doug, but hopefully we can make that happen.
And try.
All right, thank you.
I
Okay,
think we can do it.
does the board have anything else on this?
No.
No?
No, not for me.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is Calverton Tree Farm, which is listed as number 1, and that has been rescheduled, so that will not be discussed today at the request of the applicant, who was not able to attend. Or are they here?
Have it up here, Tom.
No. Oh, that's the other guys still on. So that brings us to number 2 on the agenda, EP Equity 4 Holdings LLC.
All right, thank you, and I believe for this application, we have Kim Judd, the applicant's attorney. Doug Adams, again, is representing the design professional aspect. And I believe Eric Nicosia is the project architect. So we have received a site plan application proposing to develop a vacant parcel of industrial land with 2 one-story buildings, which will be utilized as building trade shops and/or warehousing, which is permitted under the Industrial A Zoning Use District Code. The proposed development consists of a 19,082 square foot building and a 10,446 square foot building, totaling 29,528 square feet, and related improvements including landscape, lighting, stormwater management, and sanitary systems. The proposed action is a type 1 action pursuant to SECRA under Town Code. I've identified the involved agencies. And additionally, although the property does not have frontage on Middle Country Road, which is a state highway, the project will be referred to the DOT as an interested agency due to the site's proximity to Edwards Avenue, so they can use that in their future planning for that intersection. Planning staff offers the following SECRA assessment on the project. The threshold for significant traffic impacts from a light industrial warehousing use is set at 180,000 square feet per the New York State DEC's full environmental assessment workbook. The proposed development, which is approximately 30,000 square feet, does not meet the threshold to be considered a significant traffic generator. Additionally, even if the existing Allied Building Supply warehouse, which is located on an adjacent parcel, which is approximately 18,000 square feet, even if that project were analyzed in connection with this application to understand the cumulative impacts of the development on Miller Road, it would still be 75% below the threshold to be considered a significant traffic impact. While municipal water supply and impacts to the water district has been a critical issue to the town in recent times, the site plan states that the automatic underground sprinkler systems with rain sensors shall be provided, and they shall utilize a dedicated on-site well in order to reduce the landscape water usage. All the stormwater will be managed on-site and will not contribute to any stormwater runoff to neighboring properties of rights-of-ways, and a stormwater pollution plan will be provided. The proposed use of the property is in conformance with the permitted uses under the current industrial A zoning of the property. The proposed project is consistent in size and scale with the existing industrial development in the surrounding area. All proposed lighting is dark sky compliant, and the proposed project is not located within or in close proximity to any archaeologically sensitive areas as identified on New York State's Cultural Resource Information System. Staff has prepared a resolution to classify the action as a type 1 action for SECRA and initiate coordinated review. There are some minor inconsistencies on the full environmental assessment form, which I've already spoken with the applicant about. We don't need to read them off. She is going to correct and amend those full EAFs before they are distributed to the involved agencies. The subject property, identified as Suffolk County Tax Map 600-127-2-2.7, is a 3.94 acre parcel located on the east side of Edwards Avenue, approximately 250 feet south of the intersection of Edwards Avenue and Middle Country Road. Property has approximately 525 feet of frontage on Edwards Avenue, and also fronts along Miller Road, which is a private right-of-way with a cul-de-sac, which also allows access through the gas station to the north onto State Route 25. Property is presently vacant with minor improvements, including an RPZ enclosure, which is located on the property approximately 40 feet off of Edwards Avenue. That was installed in connection when the Allied Building Supply site was built out, with water to the Allied Building Supply site being supplied via a 6-inch water main, which is located within a 10-foot easement, which traverses the property across Edwards Avenue. The site plan currently proposes that the RPZ enclosure will remain in its current location. There's also an existing concrete utility vault located along the eastern side of the parcel. However, it is unknown what utilities are currently connected and serviced through this vault, or if there are any other existing underground utilities aside from the water service which would connect to this vault. I did note during a site visit, there's also a post with a water spigot near the southern property boundary along Miller Road. I don't know if the water spigot is functioning or if it's connected to municipal water lines. This parcel is a piece of property that was identified as lot number 2 on a subdivision map known as 1998 Peconic LLC, which was approved by the planning board in December of 2003. One of the conditions of that subdivision approval is that access to any lots will be taken from Miller Road, and there shall be no access from Edwards Avenue. They are currently in compliance with that. They do propose a number of access points from Miller Road, and there is no access on Edwards Avenue. The project complies with the dimensional zoning requirements of the Riverhead Town Code and does not require any relief from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Additionally, the plan proposes a total of 24.8% contiguous landscaped area, or approximately 1 acre. The minimum required is 15%. Property is located within Suffolk County Groundwater Management Zone 3, which has a allowable sanitary flow of 1,182 gallons per day. Based on the flow from the proposed development, using the Suffolk County groundwater standards, it appears that this project would comply with Groundwater Management Zone 3 requirements. It is located within Riverhead Water District Extension number 81. As I said, there is a 10-foot water easement which traverses through the middle of the property. One of the issues that I did note with the just layout of the site plan and the configuration of it is that the site plan currently identifies trucks of varying sizes for demonstrative purposes along the northern portion of Building A in this loading and unloading area. However, when the trucks are parked there, the plan demonstrates that it's very restrictive in terms of pass-by traffic. Even one of the tractor-trailer illustrations shows that the driver's cab is kind of at an offset angle in order to maintain a minimal drive aisle. The applicant really needs to clarify the types of trucks that will be utilizing these loading bays, depending on the types of vehicles. The board and the applicant should consider whether they would need to kind of modify that building. I did speak with the applicant's attorney. They could cut that portion of the building back, just reduce it to the south a little bit, just to allow a little bit more pass-by traffic. And the drawings indicate that the loading bays will be at grade, so there's going to be no recessed loading docks. It appears as though they're going to use loading docks inside the building, like a hydraulic lift, I would assume, to unload trucks. The total required parking for the proposed development is 74 parking stalls based on the industrial uses at 1 stall per 400 square feet of floor area. Site plan currently proposes 116 parking stalls, which is 42 in excess above what's required. Being that the project complies with impervious coverage requirements, staff has no objection to the excess parking, as that would allow for some flexibility if there were any future changes of tenants. And the site plan currently proposes 5 handicap parking stalls. The applicant did provide a landscaping plan, which includes a variety of deciduous trees, evergreen trees, shrubs, and grasses as ground cover. I do note, once again, that sheet number 1 of the site plan indicates that there will be an on-site well for irrigation. However, the location of this well is not indicated. That must be shown on a revised site plan and should indicate the flow rate of the well. I did note during a site visit that there are a row of existing trees of significant caliper along the Edwards Avenue right-of-way, which can be seen in Figure 5 on page 8 of my staff report. I would recommend that these trees be preserved, shown on a landscaping plan as existing trees and marked as these trees will be preserved. Any empty spaces can be supplemented with new trees. There will be, it looks like, in the vicinity of that RPZ enclosure, based on the grading plans, it looks like that there will be 2 retaining walls that will be needed. Details of these retaining walls must be provided. I did note that there is an existing Allied Building Supply sign on the property. Obviously, that will need to be relocated. I would recommend that, since this is going to be effectively kind of like a campus development, you're going to have 2 businesses. You're going to have Allied Building Supply as well as this one. They should establish a monument sign on the property to identify the Allied business as well as the current tenants. I went through just some of the supplementary guidelines. Though they do comply with the supplementary guidelines as detailed in section 301-116. All proposed lighting is dark sky compliant and complies with the 16-foot maximum mounting height, and all the proposed fixtures comply with the color temperature of 3,000 degree Kelvin. The applicant's engineer did provide a cut and fill analysis on the site plan. They did indicate that there will be a required cut of material from the site of approximately 3,000 cubic yards, which will need to be exported. As such, they will need to obtain a Chapter 229 excavation permit from the town board prior to the issuance of a building permit. Most of the referrals, we will be referring it to the Planning Commission, we'll be referring it to the Health Department. The application is currently scheduled to be on the Architectural Review Board's calendar for March 24th, and the fire marshal plans have been referred to the fire marshal's office, and we are awaiting comments from them.
Okay. So you just answered.
Ready for a resolution?
I do have a resolution to classify the action as a type 1 to initiate the coordinated review, yes.
So you answered 2 of my questions, nothing from the Water District and nothing from ARB yet.
No, yet.
Okay. So being that Miller Road is a private road, do they need any kind of agreement for access to this property for customers or commercial use?
I don't believe so. They did submit a title report, and there were covenants and restrictions that were filed in connection with that 1998 LLC minor subdivision, which gave each of those 3 parcels. Just for reference, the parcels involved are the Allied Building Supply, this current site, as well as the gas station to the north. Those were the 3 lots in that subdivision. And one of those conditions of approval is that all those sites will take access from Miller Road. Those are recorded in covenants on the property that they will take access from Miller Road.
So Miller Road's a private road?
Correct.
Who plows it?
It's maintained by the 3 property owners who have interest in that right of way.
Okay.
Hey, Greg?
Yes, sir?
Yeah, just as a matter of point, I believe it's part of Lot 3. And then the other 2 lots have an easement access to that road. But I think the property area of Lot 3 includes the road property.
I believe that is the Allied Building Supply site, which, as Doug's saying, is Lot 3. I believe that roadway is contained within Lot 3. So lot numbers 1 and 2, this lot being lot number 2, they have access via Miller Road.
Okay. Should we be looking for a road dedication here for future road widening? I think the state's looking to do this intersection in the near future.
Well, you meaning along the frontage along Edwards Avenue?
Yeah,
As I said, we will refer it to the DOT, for them to kind of consider in their future road widening. I mean, if that's a requirement from the DOT, the board can consider that, but, I don't know that that's for us to say.
Is Miller Road a 55-foot road?
No. No, and I mean, at this point, Miller Road will not be dedicated to the town. It was not designed to those standards, the 55-foot wide right-of-way. So there's really no chance of Miller Road ever becoming a town right-of-way.
but we're gonna have or probably tractors and trailers going through there now, right?
Correct.
So,
Miller Road is a 55-foot wide road, but it is a private road, yes.
No, it is 55 foot, Doug?
The right-of-way is, yes.
so as far as the dedication of the road, why wouldn't we have jurisdiction over that? We did it across we didn't, but the planning department did it, or planning board did it for across the street on FedEx. I think we got 10 feet on that.
I'm not familiar with that FedEx. Dick, I don't know if we can,
I think you can ask them to study that question, and they can tell you whether they agree to a dedication or not. I mean, we don't, you're raising it as an issue, it's a proper issue to be raised. And whether it constricts the development on the parcel or not, I'm not sure where they are in their performance criteria. But if it doesn't impact the performance criteria and it is a benefit to all concerned, they may consider it.
Okay,
So I think you can certainly ask for it.
all right. The other thing, the easement for, I guess it's the water service to Allied. I don't know, I just think that's way too close to this building here. I mean, if they ever have to work on that water main or anything, it's almost in the, right on the side of that building there. I mean, that's pretty close, where you have landscaping and everything too, so I don't know if that could be just moved slightly, but it just looks too close. And also,
Maybe we should get it marked out.
well, I'm sure they have it, this is a surveyed map, so I mean, that's where it is, and the way they're showing it to the proposed building, it just looks too close to me for anybody to ever work on it. The other thing was, do we require curbs and sidewalks along Edwards Avenue?
I'll have to double check. I don't believe there's any requirements. It'll be referred to the highway department. If he wants curbing installed, I don't know. I'd have to double check down Edwards Avenue. I don't know if there are curbing and sidewalks along
There
other
are
sites.
down, well, I don't know if we did it, but the planning board did it for the bus depot down there. They have them. And the only reason why I bring it up is because there's a bus stop right in front of the building on the corner.
I can look through the town code and I'll speak to the highway superintendent if he wants curbing on there.
All right. He said the fire marshal didn't comment on it, right? Because I didn't see anything on here for them.
Correct.
And it looks like that water easement leads right to that hydrant, and I would assume that Allied takes their service off of there too, so if it's a private road, that's a private hydrant, so I don't know if you could raise that with the fire marshal. I'd like to see his comments on that. If that's adequate for these two buildings, I mean, it's his call, but also, as a private hydrant, the maintenance on that, if they've been keeping up with the maintenance for Allied. And you mentioned the turning radius, I did note that too, on some of these turns that they show these trucks, it looks a little tight on the turning radiuses.
Yeah, like I said, I think they could maybe just cut that building back a bit and kind of turn it into an L shape, just to allow for, 24-foot wide traffic while trucks are being utilized.
All right, that's all the notes I had. Does Dick or Joe or George have anything?
I have a question. It sounds to me like this is a build to suit. Do we know what's going in there, Greg?
The applicant has indicated that it's going to be building, trade shops, and/or warehousing. I don't know if they have
Yeah,
any.
that I read.
I don't know if they've got any specific tenants lined up yet. I think that's a question the applicant could answer.
Yeah, because they seem to have a lot of information on the types of trucks that will be transversing, the property. So it sounds to me almost like it's a build to suit. I mean, I just wondered what was going in there.
Well, it does say electronic payments on one of the signs on the building, and they're in the building on the corner now. So maybe, are they moving?
I don't know, Kim, if you can speak to that?
You're muted, Kim.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. The client does not have any tenants yet in mind. I think it's a sort of a, if you build it, they will come scenario. This is kind of like a wish list of what he would like to envision this property being used for, but he does not have any tenants lined up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would he would just then probably build one building when he has some tenants and then, no, rather than build both buildings? Build one at a time, depending on tenants.
Doug or Eric, is that your understanding? As well as that there are no tenants envisioned at this time? That's the last conversation I had with the client.
Eric is muted. I think he's unmuted. I don't have any specific information.
Okay, yeah, that's the last conversation I had with the client, was he did not have any tenants lined up.
I think it's from a site plan perspective, we showed a myriad of trucks just to show what, to show what the different sizes would look like on the property, that's all.
Okay.
Have you been to the health department yet?
We are submitted to the health department.
Okay. That's all I have.
Just a couple of comments, just based on what you guys are saying. I just kind of looked at the real property map, and it doesn't look like if Cargex had an offering, I don't know that it was taken there. At least according to real property, but that's not always that up to date. But they've been pretty good lately. And then with the sidewalk issue, yeah, I think the only sidewalks on Edwards Avenue are if they did put them down by the bus depot.
That's the jitney, right, Doug?
Yeah, down by Lynch there, Jitney, right. I mean, I don't recall it coming up before because of the type of road, but, maybe they did them in front of the bus depot only more because it's a bus depot and they were planning on maybe that being did they have a, county didn't put a bus stop there, did they? It's not a county road, but.
No, there's a bus stop on Middle Country Road right in front of the building there now on 25.
Oh, up there, okay.
Yeah.
Right, and there is a sidewalk in front of the jitney. I was just thinking maybe it's because people start, if they're coming here or leaving here, they head out of here and they walk in someplace or getting picked up out front or something. But I believe it's the only property on Edwards Avenue that has a sidewalk in front of it at the moment. I was just curious, so I looked at it.
Okay.
In terms of the, if it was identified if there was a future dedication on Edwards Avenue, maybe that would, satisfy, we'll run it by the highway superintendent, but, there's approximately, 40 feet of landscaped areas in the front of the property. So, if there was a future dedication, it doesn't seem like it would impact any of the parking areas or any of the real build-out of the site, so I don't see how that could hurt.
Well, I know the state is getting close to doing that intersection, and I know they're gonna need property, so this one's close to the intersection. We should, at the very least, ask the question. One other question, Doug, where are the RPZs going for both buildings?
Well, for the domestic, we show on one of the sheets a new tap into Edwards Avenue for domestic water. We don't know what the fire, based on the use of the buildings, I guess, with Eric here, we're not sure of where or what the design is going to require. We also don't know if we're able to use the RPZ that's on the property already. I understand it's an 8-inch RPZ, if I'm not mistaken, so it's very big. And I just don't know if legally through the easement agreement with Allied and, the owners here, if there's a way to utilize tapping off that main that's going through the property. It's not, that's only used for fire protection. They have another water service that goes down Miller Road to handle their domestic. So this is strictly a fire line.
Okay,
It serves the hydrant that's through the property there on Miller.
right,
And then it continues on and runs right into the building where they have a sign used on the elbow in the building. If you have any maps in front of you that show the Allied building, it goes right to the elbow on the bend on the building there. So, I believe that it's an 8-inch RPZ, and I think the main either going through it's 8 or reduces down to 6, and then down to possibly 4 as it goes across the street. So, their demand was only, it wasn't just a 4-inch line for them. I think the future was in mind when they finally placed it, but we're still trying to get all that information.
yeah, I mean, if you could do that, I guess that's great, but I was just talking about the domestic that you're taking the 2 off of Edwards Avenue, because this property with that shed, nice shed, was really what started everything with the RPZs in town here, because it used to be a big pile of dirt that the RPZ was under, and that's what put us on the path to get these things inside. So
Yeah,
that was what I was just asking.
I hear you, Stan. I had nothing to do with how that thing was changed from being in Miller Road to where it is now, and I knew it was going to be something to come back and get me down the road when this lot came in for development.
Yeah,
But I can tell you these domestic lines being about 100 feet from the building, in the past, they've let us put the RPZ right in the building because, when you're about 100 feet away, that seems to be all right.
okay,
So I love to put them, just make a little room in the building. They'd just be, 1.5-inch devices probably for the usage here. Pretty small,
yep, okay,
you know?
That'd be
So
good.
we don't intend to have any new RPZs visibly.
all right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, any other questions from the board?
Where's the retaining walls? Right.
It looks like if you look at sheet 1 of the plan,
Yeah.
right around the RPZ enclosure,
Right.
it looks like
Oh.
one, and then it looks like there's another retaining wall around that garden park area
Okay.
by the flagpole.
All right, that's what I thought it was, but I want to be sure.
Yeah, just a little more, to talk about this water main that's been the thorn in my side. My biggest worry here, and we have a note in the plan that, if, as we grade here, we have to lower the water main, that's something we'll have to do. But we got a little curious just to see if we really would have to lower it, because typically when somebody puts a water main in, they put it at the bare minimum. And, we figured we definitely have to be lowering it. We went out and dug a test pit right in front of the RPZ enclosure, right where that wall would go. And we went down, I think, about 11 feet, and we didn't hit it. So I think they maybe put it down there pretty good, knowing that if they left it up higher, it would be a problem. So we still need to locate that, but so far, even with us cutting 4 or 5 feet here, we're going to maintain cover, at a minimum. So that's why we decided to just leave this RPZ up with a wall around it. We'll probably vegetate it. We show some vegetation here. We don't want to highlight it, put it up on a pedestal necessarily, but we also don't want to move it. It's a pretty good expense to move an 8-inch main and RPZ and all the appurtenances. So that's what that wall is for, because we have to cut down kind of all around that, including the garden park in the front and the parking and even for the buildings. We have to start going down. We can't stay up at the Edwards Avenue elevation. So
I note that the existing water main that's on Middle Avenue is only a 2-inch water main. And they better do some analysis to make sure they'll be able to service the buildings.
which water main?
The one on Miller Avenue.
That's the water service.
The water service, yeah, but it's
Yeah,
only,
yeah,
it's
but
only a
that's only
2-inch
for,
line.
that's only for Allied, Joe. The other ones are coming off of Edwards Avenue new.
Are they gonna, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, the Allied one is metered. It's a separate meter over there by the,
okay,
by the entrance, yeah.
good.
Any other questions or comments? No? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, number 3, 235 Osborne Avenue.
All right, so this is just a very quick update on a project we had looked at a few meetings back. This is an administrative site plan application proposing facade renovations to an existing 2-story orthodontics office, as well as minor site improvements, including the installation of a stone paver walkway and ramp, and the installation of a new PVC fence, and minor improvements to the existing aprons and curb cuts. Since we last met, the applicant did receive approval from the town's Architectural Review Board at their meeting on February 24th, 2021. So I've prepared an administrative site plan approval resolution for the board to consider at this meeting.
Okay. This is that orthodontics office, just south of the railroad, right?
Correct, the white building.
Okay. No questions on it, guys? No? Okay.
Nope.
All right, we did Peconic Farms. Number 5 on the agenda, Digger Odell's.
Planning Department has received and reviewed a site plan application seeking approval to construct an outdoor seating area to the rear of the existing restaurant space at 58 West Main Street, currently operating as Digger's Ales and Eats. Proposed improvements include the construction of a new paver patio, the installation of new aluminum fencing to surround the outdoor seating area, and stormwater management improvements for the area. The proposed action is a Type 1 action pursuant to SECRA in Town Code, Section 225-11B1, as the action involves a commercial use within the Town of Riverhead Historic District. Staff has prepared a resolution to classify the action as Type 1 and initiate coordinated review among involved agencies. The subject parcel, particularly identified as Suffolk County Tax Map 600-128-66-17, is a 0.2273 acre parcel located at 58 West Main Street within the DC1 zoning use district. The site is presently improved with a 2-story, 6,963 square foot mixed-use masonry building with restaurant and brewery spaces on the first floor and with dwelling units on the second floor. The application proposes to perform a number of improvements to the outdoor area on the northern portion of the parcel to the rear of the existing building. The installation of a new paver patio of approximately 900 square feet is proposed, which will be utilized as an outdoor dining area. Along the northern boundary of the parcel, a 6-foot-high black aluminum fence is proposed to surround the new patio area, including 2 48-inch wide gates located on existing pathways leading from the rear of the building to the town parking lot to the north. For stormwater management purposes, 2 8-foot diameter by 4-foot deep storm drain rings are proposed under the new patio area. Plans indicate that the stormwater will be collected by trench drains lining the perimeter of the new patio area. A new staircase described as an exit stair is also proposed to replace an existing staircase which leads from the rear yard area to the roof of the first story.
Can I interrupt you for a minute? Your figure 2 is on the next page.
Sure.
Is that where the patio is gonna go?
Yeah,
That
that
the
pretty
900
much shows the
square
area of that the patio would be located.
Just wanna be sure.
As far as lighting, plans indicate that all existing exterior lighting will be converted to full cutoff, dark sky compliant luminaires with the proposed fixtures being described as Econolite 76-watt LED cutoff wall packs. Further specifics on the color temperature and mounting height of all proposed and existing lighting must be provided in order to determine compliance with the town's exterior lighting standards. Plans initially provided with the application showed a number of improvements and modifications proposed on the Riverhead public parking property to the north of the subject parcel. This proposal included the removal of certain sections of sidewalk on town property in order to allow for the planting of an evergreen buffer on the proposed patio area. Revised plans dated March 10th, 2021 remove these evergreen plantings that were proposed on town property. However, these newly revised plans still show the removal of sidewalk and other paving on town property on the demolition plan. If the applicant intends to no longer propose any improvements or modifications to the town property, the plan should be further revised to eliminate these proposed removals. Additionally, as the application is a Type 1 application, a full environmental assessment form will need to be submitted to Planning Department. This application will be referred to the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, Suffolk County Department of Health Services, Riverhead Sewer District, Riverhead Water District, the Riverhead Fire Marshal's Office, the Riverhead Building Department, and the Riverhead Engineering Department. I believe we do have a representative from Stromsey Architecture on the Zoom call.
Is there someone on there? Who? Marissa?
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, Rob just can't come in because he had an emergency with his wife.
Okay.
So I was just gonna take notes for him, regarding any questions and comments.
All right. I mean, are they already using the area outside for outdoor seating?
My understanding is that it's being used as outdoor seating, but under the temporary
Sure.
COVID
Sure.
seating
Yep, no,
provisions.
that's fine. And they're gonna put up a fence there to delineate their outdoor eating area?
Yes, that's the aluminum fence they propose.
Okay. Was there a survey done or submitted for this?
We received this survey that's called out on the site plan. It's not a standalone survey,
Yep.
but on the left portion of the site plan package, you'll see information taken from survey done by Neil Grange, licensed land surveyor, dated October 11th, 2004. So that's the extent of the survey we have for this.
So we're comfortable with what's shown on the plans as far as where that fence is gonna go and the sidewalk area that has been identified that belongs to the town?
Again, if there's any, speaking with the applicant, it's my understanding that they intend to no longer propose any improvements on the town property, so, prior to any approvals being granted, we would ensure that there's no improvements there if that's what they...
Right, and I saw that, but I just want to be sure that we know where the property line is between where their outdoor seating ends and where the town property begins. So, I don't know, would this be acceptable, survey? Or should they do one to show exactly where that line is?
We can seek an updated survey if the board would like that.
I don't know, maybe, I mean, I understand what they want to do here, and I don't have any objection to it, but I just, where that delineation is between town property and where they're working, we should at the very least know where that is.
Okay.
Does any,
I agree. I have a question, Brian.
Sure.
Will we be losing any town-owned parking spots there? If you notice where you have on the proposed site improvements where it says concrete pad, that has been for a long time a parking spot. Will that be disturbed?
My understanding is that would be removed as part of the
That's what I thought.
patio installation, and then the fence would be proposed that would block access to that area for any vehicles.
Now, is that town-owned?
That, the vast majority of it is not town-owned, it's on the subject parcel for the application. There is a bit that crosses over the property boundary as it's described by the survey that we have mentioned on the site plan here.
Right.
Again, I would seek to clarify with the applicant what they intend to do with that portion that is on town property.
Right, because another one that runs right out to the town parking lot, that's another one that was used for a spot or two, but probably private, because it's always been bad parking back there. So I'm sure, I don't have any issues with that being removed because that is clearly on the subject property. It's just that one with the concrete pad there, that has been used for many times. I've used it myself. It's a parking spot. But if you say it's part of the property, then it can be taken away.
Yeah, as far as my understanding of the property is that is not a public parking stall. Again, the majority of it, I would say about 90%, just looking at it here, is on the subject parcel for the site.
Well, if that's going to disappear, I'm just saying you have the concrete walkway that walks all the way around there, so that's all going to be disturbed. We've got to make sure that we've got it right, that he's not disturbing, I don't take objection to this project at all. But just, I'd like to be sure that none of that is going to be disturbed, and if it is, how are they going to put it back to where it was, to make sure that that's all done?
Yeah, that's one of the things I'll seek to clarify with the applicant, is exactly the nature of what they proposed with the concrete walkway area that's on the current plan shown as being removed.
Okay. Thank you.
I think it would be a good idea to get a survey.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, any other questions? Or comments?
They want an updated.
Oh, who's that?
Are they talking to me?
No, I was just asking if anybody, you know, the board or the applicant has any comments or questions on this application? I don't even know who that was.
That's the owner.
Oh, that was the owner?
Yes, that's the owner of the property.
Okay. Sir, do you have any questions or comments for what we discussed today? Duffy Griffiths?
Steve, you have to unmute yourself.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
He just has to unmute himself.
Oh, you have to unmute yourself.
There you go.
Oh, you can hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry. I'm using Duffy Griffith's computer.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have another way to get on. I was just curious as to the survey. You have a copy from 2004. You want an updated one?
Well, I don't know that this one was done specifically for this property, was it?
Yes, it was. And I have a copy of it still, if you want another copy. Should have been done by Neil Grange.
Okay, then, yeah, if we could get a copy of that actual survey submitted, that'd be great.
Yeah, I don't have it here. So if you have it, sure, please just turn it into Brian.
Yep, not a problem.
All right, thank you. The next item on the agenda is number 6 for Vasquez Residence Chapter 219. It's on Edwards Avenue in Calverton.
The Planning Department has received and reviewed a Chapter 219 Coastal Erosion Management Permit application seeking approval to perform improvements relating to the reinforcement of the bluff at 1826 Edwards Avenue in Calverton, including the installation of approximately 49 feet of timber and block retaining walls along the top of the bluff, and the reconstruction of an approximately 362 square foot timber deck. The proposed action is an unlisted action pursuant to SECRA. Coordinated review is optional and not recommended. Staff recommends that the planning board assume lead agency status and issue a negative declaration, as the application proposes to reinforce and prevent future damage to the bluff, and there are no foreseeable negative environmental impacts from the proposed improvements. The subject parcel is particularly identified as Suffolk County Tax Map 600-39-2-24 and Suffolk County Tax Map 600-39-2-52 are .28 acre and .01 acre parcels located within the Residence A40 zoning use district near the northern terminus of Edwards Avenue. The site is presently improved with a 1 1/2 story frame single-family dwelling with a rear deck and beach access stairway, along with a 2-car detached garage. The existing timber deck of approximately 362 square feet is attached to the rear of the residence and extends seaward before terminating at the top of the bluff. A beach access stairway extends from the edge of the deck down the face of the bluff and terminates at the beach. The majority of the existing bluff face is terraced, with the exception of the upper bluff face adjacent to where the retaining walls are proposed. The application proposes to construct approximately 49 linear feet of retaining wall near the top of the bluff, with approximately 37 linear feet being timber retaining wall proposed directly along the top of the bluff, in addition to approximately 12 linear feet of segmental block retaining wall being proposed adjacent to the timber retaining wall. Reconstruction of the existing timber deck of approximately 362 square feet is also proposed within the footprint of the existing deck to allow for the construction of the retaining walls. Minor improvements are also proposed seaward of the top of the bluff, including the modification of the beach access stairway's top landing in order to allow it to connect to the new deck surface. Native plantings and terracing are proposed as needed on the upper bluff face and any areas disturbed during construction. The proposed improvements are permitted under Town Code, Section 219-14B1, which allows for minor alterations of a bluff done in accordance with conditions stated in a coastal erosion management permit issued for new construction, modification, or restoration of an erosion protection structure. In a memo dated March 9th, 2021, the town's consulting engineer took no objection to the proposed improvements. Additionally, the applicant provided a New York State DEC letter of non-jurisdiction dated April 22nd, 1997, along with an updated letter dated September 21st, 2020, which indicates that this previous 1997 letter of non-jurisdiction was still valid. I prepared an approval resolution for this Chapter 219 application if the board chooses to approve it.
So just a question, Brian, Ed usually asks it. The access for the construction will be off of the beach? And will that
So-
hinder, the access for the construction will be from the beach?
I spoke with the applicants on this application, and as they're not proposing any sort of new revetment or lower construction along the bluff, they intend to conduct all the construction activities over the top of the bluff
Okay.
from the roadway, and I have conditions in the approval resolution to,
All right, is
Confirm
the time of year that they can work on it restricted?
to my knowledge, the only restrictions are based on that beach access and
And
operating
they're not
motor
doing
vehicles
that.
on the beach, and again,
Okay.
this doesn't apply, so there should be no timeframe restriction.
Okay.
All right, Brian, on the, on your photographs,
Sure.
is figure 4, is that where the deck is, that's going to be replaced? Or 3 and 4?
Yes, so figure 3 is taken from the
Right.
approximately the western boundary of the parcel facing east. You can see the deck there.
And that's the deck there?
And then figure 4 is taken from a bit beyond the deck. And again, the deck will be reconstructed in that same footprint. So the edges of what you see there will be the edges of the new deck.
Because it looks like the deck is in 2 pieces, is terraced. That's what the staircase is there for?
Yeah, there's multiple levels to the existing deck.
Right, okay.
It's, again, in figure 3, you can see that staircase, which is about half the width of the deck.
Right,
I don't recall specifically what the nature of the connection was for the remainder of that connective portion, but it is more or less one deck at 2 different levels.
okay.
Anything else?
I believe we do have the owner on the Zoom call.
Okay. What is it? Does the applicant have anything to say or want to address the board? Any comments?
Hi, good afternoon. No comments. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, very good, thank you. That's me in about a half an hour. All right, so, thank you, Brian. The next item on agenda is a discussion on the Long Island workforce housing, but that was based on, I think, the town board meeting today, so we're gonna table this?
Correct, yes. We were going to present the proposed code amendment to the town board at its work session this morning, which was canceled. So it would be inappropriate to discuss before the planning board,
Okay.
before it goes to the town. So we'll push that off to another meeting.
Okay. All right, so the next item on the agenda is the continuation of a public hearing for Calverton Solar Nextera. And there was actually no action taken on this since our last meeting. I don't think the applicant's on today, right? They're not here.
No.
So this is going to be adjourned again until April 1st, 2021, as of right now. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right, any public comments on the resolutions? Before we do the resolutions, does anybody have any comments on them? No, okay.
Okay, I'll move resolution 23, which is authorize a public hearing for Sunken Meadow Estates, sections 2 and 3.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and seconded to approve Resolution 23 to schedule a public hearing for Sunken Pond Estates. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution's approved.
Resolution number 24, Digger O'Dells. Classify a preliminary site plan application as a type 1 action and initiated coordinated review with secret review among involved agencies.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve Resolution 24 for Digger O'Dells, Type 1 action for Secra. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution's approved.
I move resolution 25, Vasquez Residential Chapter 219, running 219 corrosion, coastal corrosion permit. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve Resolution 25 for Vasquez Residence, Chapter 219, granting a permit. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, that's approved. Number 4.
I'll move resolution number 26, which classifies the application of EP Equity Holdings as a type 1 pursuant to SEQA.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve Resolution 26 for EP Equity Holdings 4 LLC for a Type 1 secret action. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution's approved.
Resolution 27.
27, we're going to table because we weren't able to
That's
talk
tabled.
about that today. So we're going to leave
I'll
that
move-
one on, and we'll go to 28.
I'll move 28, 235 Osborne Avenue, the classified as site plan application is a type 2 action. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve Resolution 28, 235 Osborne Avenue, Type 2, secret action. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If I could just, I just want to clarify, that is an administrative site, it classifies the action and grants administrative site plan
Right,
approval. So I
right.
just want to just clarify that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? 6 is approved.
Resolution 29, resolution granting approval for an extension of time for the subdivision map of 609 Northville Turnpike.
Second.
Second motion.
Motion made and seconded to approve Resolution 29, 609 Northfield Turnpike for an extension of time. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? It's approved. And we did have one walk-on for another extension, which is Resolution 30.
Yeah, I'll move that, which is granting, excuse me, an extension
Second.
for minor subdivision RGR Ventures.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve an extension of time for RGR, which is Middle Country Road and Manor Lane in Calverton, for subdivision. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution's approved. All right, anyone from the public have any comments for the planning board today? Any comments at all? Okay, so we still have a couple people on. Did you want to address the board at all today? Okay. Minutes of March 4th?
I'll move the minutes of March 4th, 2021. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of March 4th, 2021. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Minutes are approved. Any other business that anybody wants to discuss today? Any other business? Okay, next meeting is Thursday, April 1st at 7 p.m.
No fooling around.
No fooling around. Motion to adjourn?
No move.
Motion.
Okay. Have a good night. Thank you.